Hi, this is Andrew Park, and this video is about principle number 3 of the guiding principles on the inclusion of LGBTI people in development policies and programs. Principle number 3 reads as follows: an individual's SOGIESC, or an individual's sexual orientation, gender identity and expression, and sex characteristics, impacts a broad range of activities and opportunities over the course of one's life. Now, I'm going to preview principle number 4 because that's about disparities between LGBTI people and non-LGBTI people that we want to eliminate. Principle number 3 recognizes that there are differences between LGBTI people and non-LGBTI people that are not necessarily disparities. They are just patterns of how LGBTI people might be exercising their freedoms and capabilities in a different way than non-LGBTI people. Some of these differences may arise out of a response to stigma, resilience, coping mechanisms, but nevertheless, they're not the focus of an analysis of which disparities we want to eliminate. This principle primarily responds to the assumption that being gay is about who you sleep with, and being transgender is about what you wear. And this principle recognizes that being LGBTI is about much more than just sex or clothes. Now, again, the stage for this misunderstanding may have been set by some of the advocacy being done by the LGBTI movement across the world. Much of that advocacy is centered on a quest for equality, and equality advocacy often sends the message of sameness. And often this approach is used by LGBTI people saying, look, LGBTI people are the same as everybody else, so therefore they deserve equality. And this approach is a good one from a legal perspective, because when we talk about human rights, we're focusing on whether and why a government treats different groups of people differently. And really, there's not many reasons why a government should treat LGBTI people differently than non-LGBTI people. From a development perspective, we're actually looking at the lived experience and having a people-centered approach to see how their lives differ, sometimes in ways that aren't even impacted by what the government is doing. So, how does a person's SOGIESC affect their activities and opportunities throughout their life? There's a good deal of peer-reviewed literature and a growing amount of research in this area, and we see a variety of ways where the activities and opportunities of LGBTI people are different. For instance, and an obvious one is the structure of families and access to resources. Families provide money, housing, other kinds of support. Family rejection cuts off access for opportunities that might help support development, and this impacts how LGBTI people choose to move forward with family formation. Recently, there's been much more work on the unique ways that LGBTI people build support networks and how those support networks affect development outcomes for LGBTI people. We also see things like LGBTI people forming their own institutions, such as churches. How being LGBTI can impact migration patterns. The Institute for Development Studies has applied the Web of Poverty approach to sexuality and gender to show how sexuality and gender can impact a variety of things in life, from flows of information to patterns of housing, to access to certain spaces, to networks, to allocation of volunteer, family time, leisure time, work time. What this means for development practitioners is where there are programs that make assumptions about how people form families, get their information, spend their resources, access other people's resources, etc. These assumptions need to be confirmed or questioned with regard to LGBTI populations. And we need to keep in mind that sexual orientation and gender identity impacts all these kinds of behaviors and activities in life. Thank you.